Damn you. Die. To be able I think something flew in my mouth. This testosterone gland is in a rage. Oh, that right there is how it's done, ladies and gents. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we are going to be building a workbench. Hopefully we can keep it around $150, but it's going to be pretty stocky and well built, and it's going to have a pegboard and some lights and whatnot. You don't have to go out all this. You don't have to go all. You don't have to go this all out. There we go. And you can keep it under. Honestly, you could probably keep it under about 50 bucks. But I wanted something that was nice to work on with lights, so I can see what I'm actually doing and have a nice big area to work with. So I'm going to show y'all what we have from the stove. So I picked up 15 2x4s and a pegboard at Home Depot, and I got it all cut out. Picked up some screws and some other things as well. But this is what we're going to need to put it together. Now the top is actually going to be this door over here. That's a solid core door that one of our buddies did a house remodel, and that came out of it and said, hey, just use that as the bench top. And I was like, absolutely. So the plans, which I will put up on the screen now, show kind of what it's going to look like. It's got just a normal bench top with the pegboard in the background. It's going to have a little shelf up top. If I remember correctly, I think it's about 10 inches. That way we can put some stuff up there, as well as put the light directly underneath it. I'm also hoping to put a vise on here. And I'm also hoping to put a little power strip on the side. That way we can charge everything, or if I need to plug in the angle grinder or the bandsaw or whatever, it can just plug it in right there and don't have to run extension cords all over the shop. I'm going to go ahead and hop into doing that, but first I need to move all of this stuff because it's going right there. So let me do a little bit of magic. Alright, that worked. What we have to do first is, we don't really have anywhere flat to make this, so we're just going to make it straight on the ground. These are our two back legs, and then we're going to have a piece that goes across on the top, and then there's going to be some pieces in between, and then a piece that goes along the bottom for a bottom shelf, which I'm just now realizing I did not pick up wood for, so we will make the bottom shelf later. Or maybe it's just supports. Yeah, that'll work. And so now we're going to lay a piece of wood that we have over here, because I also left the plans at my desk. So I will have to remember the plans, and then we'll lay that out, and I'll show y'all what I'm thinking here in just a second. Alright, so what I kind of have envisioned is this being the very back. The top would be, the door will be on top of that post, those posts is, and then this is the bottom. So basically we have two boards here that basically create joinery without having to cut it all out, mostly because I didn't have my own saw. Another fun tip, I also got 38 cuts or something like that at Home Depot, and they charge you 50 cents a cut, and you don't get sawdust all over the shop where everybody's working on cars. So that's a good thing. So basically it's just little fake joinery, if you want to say. It just kind of makes it, it's going to make it stronger, and then I just kind of put everything in pieces together. So I'm getting ready to make sure all this is square, and then go ahead and screw it in, and then we'll be able to go ahead and make the other side, put these pieces in, and we'll have the whole bottom done. And then I'll be able to show y'all what we're going to do for the pegboard. So sorry I'm on the ground, but my tripod broke in the last episode because it was a super cheap one, which is okay. I'm just going to order a little bit nicer one that will last a little longer. But the first thing we want to do is pre-drill our holes, because especially if they're at the ends, this cheaper pine, it's plenty strong, but it likes to split, so we're going to make sure that's not going to happen. And the first thing we're going to do is put these end pieces down. That way we know that they're flush with the bottom, and we know they're both 6 inches, so everything will kind of match up to the top. Alright, and as y'all can see, I kind of did them catty corner. That way nothing spins. So we're going to do that on the other side as well as here on these 22-inch boards going up. And we'll make sure they're all spaced out correctly and everything like that. That way they're even, and then we can space our other boards in here, make sure everything's square, and hit it all up. Alright, so we've got these two pieces built with our joinery. Right now we're using our square to make sure that this angle and that angle over there are square, and then to make sure that they're spaced off correctly, these little extra pieces of wood we're putting right here at the end. That way we know everything's going to fit up well. Again, I'm sorry I can't really film the process of me doing this because the tripod broke and I can't just angle it on something, I guess. So I can try. No, I'm not going to try. If you didn't see on my Instagram story, which I haven't posted yet, shameless plug, follow me on Instagram because I actually have an Instagram for this channel that I'm trying to keep up with and do good at. It's very difficult. It's like one more thing to do. Alright guys, so I made the other two legs. They're exactly the same as the back legs, and you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. There'll be another piece there, and there'll be pieces down below to mimic the top, and then we'll have the pegboard go up here and everything like that. If I haven't mentioned this yet, the cut sheet is down in the description below. I'll either type it in there or I'll give a link to some Google Doc, and it'll have everything that needs to be in there, like how many cuts of how many inches and whatnot, and where everything kind of goes. The next part is going to be go ahead and attaching these long boards here to the back, as well as the bottom ones that match to the back pieces, and then we'll attach them to the front and we'll have the entire piece done. So let's do that. Alright guys, so you can see this back piece is in. That's the only piece that is not cut to somewhat the same as the others. It's actually about a ½ inch off, but that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. We still have plenty on each side to screw to the back boards. Next we're going to put in these two side pieces, one here and one down here. And then we'll put in the front piece as well. After that, we should be solid on everything. We've got some supports to go in through here. It is getting kind of late, so I might have to finish up tomorrow, but we'll see how far we get tonight. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually putting the screw in the hole just a little bit because the drill bit's not long enough to go all the way through both boards, or go through one board to touch the other board. So I put the screw in there and stick it slightly out, and then I kind of push everything together. And what that does is when I pull it out, there'll be some little markings right here at the end of the board, which I'm sure you can't see from over there. That's okay. You're gonna have to trust me because I'm not getting up. And what I'll do is I'll take that drill bit and go ahead and put those holes in there so this wood doesn't split. So now I'm going to do this to the other four, and then I'm probably going to call it a night because I'm tired and I'm ready to go home and have some dinner. Alright guys, it is all screwed together, super sturdy. Could probably just leave it at that, but I'm going to put some supports here in the middle, in between the top two and the bottom two. I mean, like between that one and the bottom one and the other bottom one, just with some boards I had left over that we had cut at Home Depot. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw those in. So I marked, So I marked the middle, but I also marked 0.75 inches on each side because I know that the board thickness is 1.5 inches, so that I know like the thickness is in between those two outside lines. That way when I come over here and I pre-drill the holes, I'll know exactly where I need to pre-drill them at. I don't know if y'all can see that in here, but yep, that hole right there, that marks where I'm going to pre-drill in here so it doesn't split. So you get the gist. I'm going to do the same thing this side, and then I'm going to do 2 more in between this post, yeah, and then this post. You get it. Alright guys, so it's been a little bit since I filmed. No, the top is not attached, okay? It's easily movable. If it's snug up there, so that's good. All I've done is I put in those 3 support beams, and they work well, and everything stays pretty level. And then I added these 2 back posts so far. All I did was take the C-clamp and the level, kind of put it where I wanted it, put the C-clamp on decently tight, and I just kind of nudged it one way or another until it was level. And did that for both of them, and screwed them in the back of the 2x4s here. So with this, if you know you want to do the pegboard, then you can use this all the way up. I just wanted I knew how heavy this was, and I wanted more. I wanted it to be really sturdy, and have a support that goes straight to the ground. So that's why I ended up doing this way. Yeah, it's going to be heavy, but it's also a workbench. And you're not really going to use it that much. And honestly, the workbench itself is not that heavy. The top is just insanely heavy because it's a solid core door. It was actually pretty tough to get it up there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Craig jig. So you don't need it. I will put one in the description below. But basically, just a little pocket hole jig. And we'll put a crossbar here and a crossbar there. And what that's going to do is it's going to hold our pegboards, which are over there. And they're kind of cut in pieces, but there's basically so I could fit it inside my car. Also, side note, you don't need a truck to be able to build this workbench, or any other workbench for that matter. You just have to be creative. With all the measurements I had, I was able to fit it in the back of a 09 Chevy Malibu, which is just your normal everyday sedan. You know, with the pegboard, I had to be a little creative, and I had to cut it down into 2 sheets. No, it's not exactly what I wanted, but I can put a little post in the middle and make sure that everything's going to be secure, and it's going to be just fine. So don't let something like a car or thinking that you have to rent a truck or anything like that slow you down. Just make sure if you want to do it, put your mind to it, you got it. That was very motivational, I feel like. Be motivated. Damn it. Pocket hole stuff. Yeah. So this is the pocket hole jig that I use. It's really easy, small. It's the cheapest one. I don't remember how much it was. It was a long time ago. But it wasn't very expensive, and they last for a long time. It comes with everything you see here, plus a bit, and I think maybe some screws. But make sure you get the Craig screws. It helps a lot. Unfortunately, I don't have them with me tonight, so we're going to wait on this stuff for tomorrow, which is kind of disappointing because I wanted to make this a one-night build. That's okay. I'll be back tomorrow, and it'll be no time for y'all. Hey guys, we are back 2 days later. I've got this top piece kind of already put together. What's really nice about the workbench is you can use it while it's not even finished yet, so that's pretty nice. But I just used these 8.5 inch boards on top of our big board to go across to make the shelf. But I did run into the first dilemma, which was our border pieces, which I'll show you here in just a second, are just a little bit too long, and we don't have a saw here. So we're going to have to get a little creative. Alright, so these are our border pieces, and they are supposed to fit in between this board and that board. However, they are just a little bit too long. They're about 1/4 inch too long. So we're going to make a couple marks, and then we're going to use, I think, a Sawzall. We're just going to full send it and try to fit it in between those two. Then I also forgot the Craig jig screws today, so we're going to be using the Craig jig with normal screws, and those are just normal 2-inch wood screws, and we'll just use the same holes, and we'll be more careful about it. And we're going to attach those. This will sit on top in the front of those, And you'll see it all put together here pretty soon, but first I'm going to make a mistake by sawzalling those. So let's do that. Alright, so I've kind of rigged this up with a clamp, and I only need to take off that much. I don't know if you can see the mark, but we're going to send it. This is not straight at all. That actually worked surprisingly well. As you can see, you got one hole drilled in here at a good angle where it'll come through right at the halfway point in the wood. So when you get the Craig jig, it will tell you how far you need to space this piece off the edge of the wood, and then the bit itself here has a spacer that won't allow it to drill any further. So just depending on your thickness of wood, and it's got a bunch of everything on there, just make sure to go through the directions, or you can just throw them away and wing it and learn the hard way, because America. Just trying to make sure it's even all the way around and level. Well, it's in there. That's all she wrote. So we've got a couple of little spare pieces, like little bitty ones. Oh my gosh, I got my eye. We'll probably put one of those little spare pieces here and then just drill straight through it, because it'll give extra support to this, especially if we have a shelf up here. I'm going to screw in the rest of these. So I forgot to press record, but this one's installed, top one's installed, and now we install this mamma jamma right here. It's going on the front. It's going to face off, be a shelf, you know. And I'll remember to record this one. Alright guys, so these C-clamps have come in absolutely huge, or that's a C-clamp and that's just whatever. Clamps. They ended up holding this board up so that I could hold this up, because that would have been impossible to do by myself. So I will make sure to have those, or some sort of version of those, in the description below. So make sure to check those out. You can also pick them up at Harbor Freight, Home Depot, Lowe's, anywhere like that. So whatever you're into. I'm actually got one support in the middle and then one support on each side. I didn't end up putting these in there mostly because they were cut a little too short, but that's okay. I'm also not going to hold anything up there until I get the brackets that I'm putting here and down there. So we'll put those in here in a little while with a couple of other things that they'll be in this video. Now we get to do the fun thing and put the pegboard up so we can hold all the tools. So good news, I get to show you all the precision of a sawzall, because these don't exactly fit because I kind of measured them funky. So I'll make sure to change my stuff before I put it in the description. Full plans to this whole thing will be in the description below. But if you want to make it and then take things off that you don't want yourself, that's more than acceptable. And then obviously not everybody's going to have a solid core door to do, you know. Maybe you don't have that big of a garage, you only want it 4 feet, whatever. So it's up to you, man. But SketchUp is a great free way to check your dimensions if you do change any. I did this all by hand, and honestly I got pretty lucky that I didn't screw up some of the math. Anyway, we're gonna get to cutting this. Alright there, nobody move. Alright, and the other half's just gonna be open so we can enjoy the view, and the view from the window over here. It's shameless plug to the rest of the channel. Restoring / rebuilding / whatever into a drift car, a Datsun 260Z. Okay, a lot cooler videos than this. You know, dropping cool engines, tearing everything apart, put a fuel cell in. Didn't check that out last episode. Check it out. Alright, so I don't know when the camera died, but I got the rest of the corkboard up. I used the sawzall to take off little ends, little cutouts and everything, and the good part is, like, you see that this one's uneven. It doesn't really matter. It looks good. No one's ever going to notice. And the holes down here are in line anyway. They're just kind of shifted up. So, because it was split down the middle, because I had to carry it in my car, what I did is I put a couple of backing boards here, and then put some screws on it, and then I just pre-drilled, or I drilled the holes while Frankie was holding it in the back. Shout out to Frankie. Then screwed in, it's kind of holding itself, and then I got one more little piece up here, that little piece that I'm going to go ahead and drill in the back as well. Keep it all nice and sturdy. And then we're going to screw the top down. So it'll be pretty close to what it'll look like as a finished product, but we got a couple of more steps. So what I'm doing now is I'm using the Craig jig drill bit. Yeah, that's it. This drills the part for where the screw in is, and this part drills the part where the screw stops. By doing that, we get to recess these heads a little bit, because I don't want them sticking out of the top of the table. And that way, if we put like a vise over here or whatever, then these are not going to be in the way. Now, it's not on the top. That's going to be terrible to try to get out, if I ever have to. And hopefully never will. Alright guys, that's going to finish up the structure of this. As y'all can see, it's nice and done up and really sturdy, which happens with everything that I build out of wood. I overbuild it. Anyway, the next thing is just a couple of finishing touches, so let's get to that. Yeah. Alright, so as y'all can see, I picked these up on Amazon, just little LED lights. It was like 40 bucks for 6 of them, so I'm sure we'll hang some of those around the shop, get some better lighting around here, especially towards the back of the car because you can't see anything. Oh, but this actually helps out a ton. I don't know if y'all can tell how much it helps out on camera, but it's really dark and then it's really bright, so that's really nice to have. The problem is this cord is not long enough, so we'll have to figure something out to do about that. But I've also got an electrical strip that hasn't showed up yet from Amazon. Everything will be linked in the description if you want to go look at what I picked up, whatever. We're going to put that electrical strip right here on the side. That way if I want to put my charger for my drill up against the pegboard and just kind of run the wire right there so it's always, you know, ready to be charged or whatever. And anything I want to attach, that'll go right there too. I'm going to clean up this desk and then we're going to call it for the episode. Alright guys, that's going to do it. You can always go further than this and make this top thing pretty. I didn't actually get the wood for the top shelving yet, but you get the idea of how that's going to work, just placing things up there just like those extra lights. I also didn't get to finish the bottom shelving, but it's going to be the same as this, just with a piece of plywood. This was really not difficult. If you, like I said before, if you don't want to do with the whole pegboard and the light and everything, you can easily do this for under $100. But it's a really easy weekend project. Like I said before, I will put the cut list down below. That way, if you want to make exactly this bench, you can. But you got to have one of these solid core doors. That's going to do it for this episode. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe and like the video if you liked it. If you didn't, please tell me in the comments below why, or what I could have done better on this little how-to. We've got a couple more how-tos coming, and we're also working on restoring / resto-modding / drift cars / whatever you want to call it. A Datsun 260Z. That's actually what this workbench was for. So if you're interested in that, we've got a lot of videos getting it to this point. It was a serious rust bucket before, and it's a little bit less of a rust bucket now. So if you want to catch that up, I'm sure you'll see some videos at the end of this video. Really appreciate everybody for watching all the way through. It really does help. And I will catch y'all next time.